Hello, hello. Oh, I am live, but for some reason, I can't see my Streamlabs. My Streamlabs has gone funky for some reason. I've just got a black screen. Oh well. I can see things on YouTube. Use this instead. But evening everyone, hope you're well. How's everyone doing? Oh, day 3. Day 3. Welcome back. Can I say hello to those in Turkey? Of course I can. Hello, hello. But welcome everyone. Good to see you. Matt, Ian, Carl, Matt, TC, Psych, Safe. Good to see you. And everyone else tuning in as always. Welcome guys. Much appreciated. Got a nice pear cider. It's only Wednesday, but needed it. They're all good. The family's all good. I'm good. And yeah, ready to chat about what happened today in day 3, because we had a dry day at Barcelona, which was unexpected. And we saw more cars out on track. And we saw the McLaren, as you can see on the screen now, on track in its shadow livery. And I must admit, it does look good. It does look pretty snazzy, doesn't it? Very nice, with just a little bit of orange with the MasterCard logos there. Lando in a... This is the Lando in the #1 car, of course. Now he's world champion. With the matte black helmet as well. Black gloves, black overalls. I mean, does look pretty good. I mean, I would be very, very happy. Very happy if they went all black and then like this pattern that they have here. Like papaya. Because I'm not a fan of papaya, to be honest with you. As I said, it's not how I associate McLaren. I associate McLaren with more a grey, black livery, like the West livery, the Vodafone livery, the chrome, like those ones, the Marlborough, the red and white. But I know papaya, of course, is like historic to them. But it looks very nice, very nice. But yes, welcome everyone. If you're just tuning in, it's your first stream of the week. Well, a season is now getting underway, isn't it? We are not long to go until the first race weekend of the season, which will be in the first weekend of March at Australia. So get ready to turn your alarm clocks on for the majority of the world, as the first few races of the year will be at ungodly hours for us Europeans. But I guess those of you down under, you deserve it. You deserve to start the season with the time and your body clocks not suffering, because you do take a suffering throughout 90% of the year when it comes to F1. But yeah, Bahrain not too long away. We do have some news today about Aston Martin. We have some news today about Williams. James Vowles has been talking. And yeah, we've basically just been running down the private testing. Just an opportunity to go live, chat, and get in the mood for F1, you know, as it's not far away. So, hey, Dusko, good to see you, mate. Who's excited for Aston tomorrow? Yeah, well, as we round off the last beautiful image of this McLaren, looks very nice. Does look very, very nice. They seem to have a decent amount of running today. We'll get to that in a second. But should we go to the news of Aston Martin? Is that they have turned up at the track, and they will be on track tomorrow if all be good and everything is put together correctly and the car decides to run. So interesting to see what livery they've got for the shakedown. Of course, you can't run your race livery that you're going to be using this season. That is the rule if you haven't revealed your race livery before this shakedown. But it seems to be they're all set, so they're there. We will see. Big head air intake from the McLaren. Was it? I didn't even pay attention to the air intake. Oh yeah, that's much bigger than what we've seen on the Ferrari and the Mercedes. Not as big as the Red Bull though, is it? Not as big as the Red Bull, but it's definitely sizable there. Definitely sizable. Also got a serrated, not as serrated or as stepped as the Ferraris rear fin, shark fin, but definitely step there. Interestingly as well, the actuators on this for the Active Aero does have 2 connection points either side of the nose by the looks of it as well. You can see kind of just there, like these metal parts, almost like metal strings. Those are the actuators which pull up, drop down the Active Aero on the front wings. So, yeah, interesting. People were tracking the flight over, yeah. My friend, actually, is a bit of a plane nerd, and he said that plane used to fly over him, like where he lives in the UK, used to fly over him like quite often, and they'd always, it's like a fan favourite, apparently, that plane, and they track it quite a lot, and it's old school, very loud propeller, so... Is it one actuator or 2? Well, I don't know. It seems to be connected at 2 points, of course, but it's visible, unlike... It's probably one actuator which is hidden under the nose, but we can actually see the connections here, whereas we can't see that on the Red Bull or the Mercedes or the Ferrari, or any other car for that matter, I think. I think this is the only car we've seen thus far where we can visibly see where the connection of the actuator is to the front wing. Everyone is talking about the Mercedes because of the pistons, but no one talks about McLaren. I think it's a good thing for McLaren. Yeah, they've gone very heavily under the radar. Very heavily under the radar. And I think you really need to keep an eye out for them. I mean, they've got a Mercedes engine in the back. And, I mean, remember, who was able to dominate the majority of last year through some brilliant brake management systems that they had? The phase change materials. I don't think that's been forgotten about all of a sudden. McLaren will definitely be implementing that for this season. I don't think that's against the rules in these new regulations. It was called innovative last year by the FIA. So, yeah, that is definitely something that I think is going to be carried over and should give them not a head start, but a head start probably in the temperature management side of things. So, but let's have a look at the lap times for today, shall we? As always, we can't look too heavily into the lap times, but we can see if drivers and teams are starting to maybe turn things up a little bit, a couple of notches, because we have, of course, the fastest time this week was a 1:18.1, I think it was, from Isaac Hadjar, low 1:18. Well, today, day 3, Kimi Antonelli and George Russell with 1:17s, a 1:17.362 by Kimi Antonelli, 91 laps and 92 laps respectively to both Kimi Antonelli and George Russell. They are racking up the laps, Mercedes, right now. Very, very positive. George Russell, we'll have a look at some of his quotes today, but he seems very buoyant, very excited to get going. He wants to get racing. They know they've got a good car underneath them. It's reliable. And it seems to be that they're already starting to turn things up a little bit because, yeah, that was a cold track out there today as well. George Russell said the track temperature was something around 2 degrees. One of the coldest track temperatures he's ever had the pleasure of driving an F1 car on before. So, yeah, very cold. Not exactly prime driving conditions when it comes to driving F1 cars. And, yeah, those are very good times. Lando Norris, of course, their first day out on track. So just trying to get things in the right window, systems check, make sure things are running okay. And, well, they were nearly a second off of the pace, but that still would have been a low 1:18. Not far off of Isaac Hadjar's time on Monday. Franco Colapinto, 58 laps for him in the Alpine. Alpine quietly going about their business as well. No one talking about them this year. With Pierre Gasly, 67 laps racked up for him, 58 laps for Franco Colapinto. So they also had the Mercedes gearbox and engine in their car. They are quietly positive themselves. Ollie Behrman did have a breakdown in the morning, but supposedly it was a sensor issue for Ollie Behrman. I think there was also an issue in the afternoon as well, unless that was Nico Hulkenberg. I think Ollie Behrman only had one issue, but yeah, it was a sensor issue, wasn't a Ferrari engine power unit issue. Arvid Lindblad, he got a lot of running in today, 120 laps for him, whereas Liam Lawson has only really done running prior to this. And Nico Hulkenberg, tough day at the office for Audi today. Breakdown in the morning, breakdown in the afternoon as well for Nico Hulkenberg. Apparently, it was reported it's a hydraulic issue in the morning, and then in the afternoon, we don't know what it is, but there was a reported something was flagging up to the engineering team, and they decided to stop him out on track. So, yeah, those are the times, and, well, the times are starting to get a bit quicker. Mercedes have one more day to use, as does Alpine, as does Haas, as does Racing Bulls and Audi. No Cadillac today. So we'll see Cadillac over the next 2 days. We're going to see Aston Martin. We'll maybe see these guys out there tomorrow and end this running on the Thursday. So those are the day 3 times. Georgian, good to see you, by the way. Good to see you. Good to welcome everyone. What I'd like to see is the top speeds. Yeah, that's information that we don't have access to. However, what we have seen, and Lando Norris reported this today, as did George Russell, is that the top speeds are quicker than last year. And that's because of the active aero, and because these cars are designed to go quicker in a straight line, but a bit slower, less downforce in the corners, which is fine and should provide us some good racing. Can I suggest you a good smartphone? Android? Yeah, either iPhone, either one of the latest iPhones, or I personally am a Samsung Android user. I've been for quite a few years now, and I get on fine with them. So, Mercedes are doing really good number of laps. Yeah, massively. They're reaching 330 kilometers an hour. Ooh, if that's true, that's very quick. What do I think this year? Rivalry for the top. Mercedes versus Red Bull. Mercedes versus McLaren. Red Bull versus McLaren. Still too early to tell. I hope that, and we touched upon this at the start of the week, I hope that even if the Mercedes power unit is the strongest, we at least get McLaren versus Mercedes. That's what I'm hoping for. I just want more than one team fighting for the championship. Pardon me, because it makes things exciting for us. Cadillac look pretty shaky. Well, they've only done 1 day of running at the moment, so not too much to look into. But have a look at the front wing. I thought we got some close-up images of the McLaren today, and I thought the front wing element is really interesting. So you can see here on most of the renders, we only saw this single part of the front wing, this bottom part, and then the end plate. Whereas we're seeing these extra additions being added on to these front wings this week that is different from the renders, and it's really interesting to see, because this is all about directing airflow away from the tyre and around the tyre, because it's all about wanting to create outwash, which increases performance, rather than directing the air inwards, which is what these regulations are all about. And there's a real interesting kind of detail here from Andrea Galante, so credit to him, about kind of the difference here of Ferrari and Mercedes active aero, whereas Ferrari have a two flap design, whereas Mercedes have a single flap design when it comes to the active aero being activated, which is interesting. So difference in approach from the teams in relation to how the active aero operates within these regulations. So hang on, why can't I get off there? So McLaren, AM and Ferrari are certain for tomorrow then? Yes, pretty much, yeah. McLaren, Aston Martin and Ferrari will be out the last 2 days for sure. Yeah, definitely. It's really weird to see the chat so slow again. It reminds me of the old times. Yeah. It's just chill, isn't it? It's just a nice opportunity for us to catch up. So, yeah, Aston Martin back on. We got some quotes here from George Russell. So, as I said, bro, he's very positive. And this is what he said today. Everything went relatively smoothly from a reliability perspective today. So that is good for our overall program. This test is all about getting mileage on the car and making sure everything functions as it should. That was the case today, as Kimi and myself were able to put a large number of laps in once again. Yes, over 180 laps between the two of them today. Serious mileage. Track temperature was a little in the low single digits this morning, one of the coldest circuits I've ever driven on, so there's little to nothing you can read into the times. The excitement lies ahead once we head to Melbourne and get a sense of where we stack up against our competitors. For now, we're putting in the hard work and enjoying the process of getting ready for the season ahead. We've still got one more day of running we can accomplish, which may be tomorrow, but will depend on the weather. We've got more work to do, and we're in a good place to run on Thursday, but we'll only do so if we are confident it will be dry. So George Russell and the Mercedes, understandably, very, very happy about their progress. So they're starting to push a little bit more on the engine and stress the parts some more. Hence, the time's getting down to a 1:17.3 today, set by Kimi Antonelli. But yeah, definitely seem to be taking the ball by the horns and setting that marker early to the teams that we're in a good place. We are in a very good place. They're sending that message. Does the power plant used in the preseason count towards the allotment for the season? I don't believe so, Joey. I don't think so. No. Good to be back here. Anyone else apart from Ferrari with a new steering wheel? I actually don't know, Nadir. That's an element that I haven't really paid too much attention to. Possibly. I imagine they will have some elements changed because of the required battery usage and energy usage that is required this year. But yeah, I don't know if there's any massive changes. Kimi appears to have done a full race simulation. Good to see you, by the way, Heracles. With a quick pit in between, so loaded with fuel, and his lap times apparently were close to last year's lap times, if we believe Italian sources. I don't believe Italian sources, to be honest with you, because I think Italian media is very, very up and down with reliability. And they're very passionate, of course, as well. So, some footage here of the the Audi, when it was actually running today. Not the best phone, but I think that's Esteban Ocon down. Esteban Ocon was filming from here earlier as well. So this is obviously all team members filming today. And then we'll touch on Williams shortly as we go to Adam Cooper. If you're not following Adam Cooper, freelance F1 journalist, he has been attended his first F1 race in 1985, and he's attended every single race since 1994. Qatar was his 600th GP last year. Woo-wee. He is committed, that is for sure. Thoughts on the Audi delivery? Yeah, I'm liking it less and less. I am liking it less and less. So, I'll tell you what. Well, we're going to take a bit of a detour. We are going to take a bit of a detour, and we are going to chat about Williams. We are going to talk about Williams because James Vowles has released a video around 3 minutes of an update of Williams' position at the moment, and it was kind of really a whole lot of nothing. He's in his video, to be honest with you. Lots of cuts, lots of jump cuts you could see in the video. So whether that was by design, whether he went on a tangent and they went, no, we're going to cut that, or if it was just because he kind of wanted to really pause and they didn't want any pauses in the video. But it didn't really give us a lot. But we'll read through this, and it summarises what he said. And I don't know, it's not good reading for me, to be honest with you. The cars sound better, don't I think? I think they do sound better, yeah. They definitely sound a lot more raspy. They definitely sound a lot louder. I'm interested to hear how they are like on proper TV coverage. I feel like the audio this week, because they haven't got proper crews there, F1. Has anyone noticed this? Like even like the interviewers from F1, like the audio is very off. It's very kind of echoey because they haven't got everyone there. It's kind of a skeleton crew. The audio doesn't sound very nice from what we've seen this week from F1 directly. Anyway, you really want to go see an F1 race this year? Your exams are ending in a month. Can I suggest you one? Like a good one. Interesting, not in Europe and America and SA. So you want to come? You want to race in Europe and America or outside of Europe and America? I am excited for the new regs though, Raider. I am. I think these cars look amazing, and I think, look, ultimately, while the cars were the fastest they've ever been last year, it wasn't good for racing, was it? It wasn't good for racing. So, too much dirty air provided off of them. Is it a 5 today? Do you know what? It is a 5. It is a 5. No, I don't like the Audi livery anymore. I think I was just excited. I was streaming when the Audi car reveal at the time. So, morning, Alan. Good to see you, mates. Seriously, can you combine number of laps for engines after the first test? I will do at the end. I'm sure someone will combine them. We'll do it after. We'll do it on Friday. On Friday, there'll no doubt will be a whole combined list of the overall laps per engine. So it must not be in Europe and America and South America. If that's the case, I would say Bahrain is a good one, because Bahrain always has it's a track where the tyres do degrade and there's good racing there, especially in the first sector. That's where you'd want to position yourself. So I would say Bahrain is a good one to go to. Suzuka, Japan, hopefully the racing will be better this year at Suzuka. Great atmosphere, great country, definitely one to put on your radar. Apparently China is quite affordable as well. It really is. I've seen lots of YouTube videos on going to the Chinese Grand Prix, and contrary to what people think, it's really accessible, and you can get good racing at China. Some good seating positions as well at affordable price. Yeah, I think they're the two that really kind of jump out at me, really, from the other side of the world. So I think the other Middle Eastern races, Qatar and Abu Dhabi, just don't provide good racing. Qatar is a motorcycle track at the end of the day, and then Abu Dhabi is boring. I mean, you go because it's the finale, but it's not actually, doesn't really provide good racing. And I'm trying to think what else there is outside of Europe. Yeah, I mean, of course, you've got Australia. You could go to Australia. It's the first race of the year. But then again, if you want to see properly good racing, no, Australia, great country again, great weather when the race is held there, but doesn't really provide good racing. But hopefully this year, these regulations will tear up what we know about F1, and we see overtaking at circuits that we normally don't see overtaking at. So that's, fingers crossed, that'll be brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Final in Brazil. Finale should be in Brazil, yes. Singapore. Yeah, Singapore is I feel like you go to Singapore, though, for, once again, the atmosphere, and maybe just because of the event itself, the glam of the event itself under the lights. But once again, the racing there is non-existent, and I don't think there are still certain tracks. Yes, Mike, good to see you. There are still certain tracks, i.e. Monaco, i.e. Singapore, that just, unless they're racing in go-karts, isn't going to make the racing any more interesting. So, you like Madrid's oval as it's a street circuit. What about Madrid? I don't know. I mean, Madrid supposedly still is actually at real risk of not even going ahead this year. That's what I've heard and seen. So yeah, Madrid is definitely one that, I mean, if Madrid is removed, is there another track that could step in and take its place? I mean, what else could step in and take its place this year? Zandvoort was in its last year. But for this year particularly, I'm sure there's another European circuit that could take it on. But should we talk about James Vowles and Williams? How do I feel about Portimao replacing Zandvoort? I'm positive about it. Actually, that's a good one. Portimao, if Madrid doesn't go ahead this year, they'd probably move it to Portimao, to be honest with you. So, or back to Imola. Maybe back to Imola. Maybe. I think they'd probably bring Portimao forward a year. But anywho, so Williams, if you've missed it, of course, the big topic of conversation this week has been, what is going on at Williams? Why are they not at the shakedown this week? There have been so many rumours. They've failed crash tests. They're overweight. There's been delayed engine parts. Like, what is it? What is it? Well, let's have a little read through. This is through the BBC, Andrew Benson. And, well, to be honest, this is pretty much, any news article that you see is pretty much quoting what James Vowles said in a video on the Williams YouTube channel, which is around 3 minutes long. So he has said, it clearly wasn't our plan and it's incredibly painful. Oof. The results of our determination to push the limits of performance under the new regulations. That's the reason why we withdrew from the test in Spain. That's a very PR response, that. The result of our determination to push the limits of performance under the new regulations. That's a lot of long words. That's a lot of long words designed to try and confuse in one single sentence there, isn't it? Sounds very impressive, but it's really kind of a whole lot of nothing. adds, if you want to transform at speed, you need to find the pain points and put them right very quickly, which is exactly what we're doing. Yeah, but that's exactly what everyone else is doing at the shakedown this week. Out on track. He took over Williams at 2023. Yep. He says it's a blip in the grand scheme of things, as it. He says he described the car's failure to pass one of its mandatory crash tests in the run-up to last week's decision to put out the Barcelona test as a blip in the grand scheme of things. So they did fail one of its mandatory crash tests. Okay, which can happen. It can happen. He says they're clearly as disappointed as I am in relation to Carlos Sainz and Alex Albon, who stand shoulder to shoulder with him. They want to be out there testing the car, and whilst they're in Ad Driver and Loop Simulator in tandem now to increase that program, it isn't the same. Of course not. It's more of an output than anything else of pushing not just the boundaries of design, but the boundaries of just similar. How many components can be pushed through the factory in a very short space of time? The car we've built is about 3 times more complicated than anything we have put through our business beforehand. So, to put that in perspective, it means the amount of load going through our system is about 3 times what it used to be. And we started falling a little bit behind and late on parts. There are compromises you can make as a result of it. So I did touch upon this yesterday, and I said it could be a simple case of human error where they've had delays in just parts. They've had delays in manufacturing. They've had delays in materials being delivered. It happens, especially with an operation that is as massive like this. But of course, they've had a very long time to get this together. So maybe that crash test has delayed them. They've had to alter the design to then put new parts into manufacturing to ensure that they pass that crash test. They will either drop again or rock. Can't see them repeating 5th place. Williams, I don't know. It'd be interesting. I mean, they do have that Mercedes engine in the back, which does look very good. So, what's the most outrageous F1 gossip I've heard? Oh, I don't know. I don't really want to get involved in that, to be honest, because you could type anything in on Reddit and someone will believe it, and then it could go absolutely around like wildfire. So that's why I only try and get my... I only try and pay... I take those sort of rumours with a big pinch of salt, and I only kind of get my... If they're not repeated by reputable sources like these freelance journalists who have been reporting on F1 for donkey's years, or like reputable websites, then I don't try not to pay too much attention over it. Do I think any previous Backmasters would do good in the new regs and vice versa? Yeah, I think every driver here has the ability, even Lance Stroll, every driver here has the ability to get on top, have an advantage by gain themselves an advantage by getting on top of this new management system that is going to be required. The usage of the battery, the boost mode, etc., active aero. There's an opportunity for the drivers to make a real difference this year with the regulations, and the drivers are echoing those thoughts as well and sentiments, which seems to bring an air of excitement around them. You can hear it in their interviews, which excites me as an F1 fan. Has Ferrari's original car passed FIA checks? Yes. He was woolly about being overweight or not in relation to James Vowles, which maybe reads as indeed they are, which will set them back a bit, sadly. Yeah. So let's continue on with what he was saying here. So I left it at where he said, and we started falling a little bit behind on late parts. There are compromises you can make as a result of that. So I have a background in construction, guys. So I'm very familiar with terminology and with the excuses and what we tell clients and what we are told by subcontractors and so forth. And I know that when someone says we started falling a little bit behind, it means they're actually quite a long way behind. You're never just a little bit behind. You're either a sizable amount behind or you're very behind. You always try and downplay it. So that is an interesting bit there. So they are quite far behind. I mean, look, for them to miss the whole shakedown, they're very much definitely behind. He does say that they'll be able to make it to Bahrain, which he gets on here. In addition to that, we have absolutely pushed the boundaries of what we're doing in certain areas, he adds. And one of those is in certain corresponding tests that go with it. He says they were on target to make it to the second preseason test, which is the first of 2 weeks in Bahrain on the 11th and 13th of February. He says we could have made Barcelona testing, so this is interesting. Oh, we could have made it. We could have made it. Simple as that. But in doing so, I would have had to turn upside down the impact on spares, components, and updates across Bahrain and the first race in Melbourne and beyond. So it would have had an overarching impact across the season. Basically what he's getting about. Getting out. And the evaluation of it was that for running in a cold, damp Barcelona against doing a rig test against a spare situation, and frankly, there was 0 points for running a shakedown test. We made the decision, and I stand by it, that the right thing to do is to make sure we're turning up at Bahrain correctly prepared and prepared in Melbourne as well. So, interesting comments there from him. So it sounds like, if I'm trying to join the dots up here, it sounds like he is trying... It sounds like they've probably had to make alterations to the car due to a failed crash test that has meant that because of it, they've been delayed on, understandably with the cost cap era, creating more spare parts for that car because they didn't know if they were going to then pass the subsequent crash test, which they sounds like they have done, but then it's too late and too risky to take just a car with no spare parts to a 3-day test. That's what it sounds like what he's done, or what they've done. And it's a very ballsy move by James Vowles to do that because he's clearly gained a lot of bad PR from doing this. And maybe some other teams have gone there, i.e. Red Bull, because without any spare parts. Because Isaac Hadjar crashed yesterday, and supposedly they might not even participate in the remainder of this week. They have one more day to utilise out of the 3 available days they can use in this 5 weekday period. And they have said that they probably won't be able to... they're assessing whether they'll be able to get back out on track this week because of, yes, the lack of spare parts and so forth. So it sounds like that Vowles, and Williams could have gone there, but didn't because of that. But how true of a reason is that? We don't know. So, you're excited about Perez and Bottas? I'm not overly enamored about them coming back. I understand why they're back, but if Stroll starts winning, I will lose his credibility about knowing talents of drivers. Am I excited for the Australian Grand Prix? I am. I really am. I'm really excited for the start of this season for a number of reasons. Just the excitement of F1 in itself, the excitement of doing the watch-alongs, the channel. Like there's so many things that I'm looking forward to this season, and I'm looking forward to bringing F1 to you guys. So he continues here. He's still going on. Where did he say here? So he didn't directly answer as to whether the car was significantly over the minimum weight limit, saying it was impossible to respond to murmurings in the media because it was not possible to know the answer until the car was assembled. What? He did not answer a question. I'm going to repeat that. Vowles did not directly answer a question as to whether the car was significantly over the weight limit, minimum weight limit, saying it was impossible to respond to murmurings in the media because it was not possible to know the answer until the car was assembled. Have you not put that car together, James Vowles? Why was that not edited out? Why was that left in? That's a massive, massive slip up. That is a massive slip up in that video. I didn't pick up on this, actually. I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't make it to the end because it was a lot of waffle. It was a lot of nothing. But that comment, it was not possible to respond to the murmurings in the media about the car being significantly over the minimum weight limit because they don't know the answer until the car was assembled. till the car was assembled. What? That's an odd comment. That's a very, very odd comment. And there's a lot of whole funny business going on behind the scenes at Williams, and they're clearly very delayed, aren't they? Clearly very delayed. So yeah, and then this article then goes on to continue about McLaren and just kind of what happened today. But that is very bizarre. Not possible to know the answer until the car was assembled. So yeah, they haven't assembled the car fully then. I don't know. It's just a very, very weird one. Nobody owns a calculator. Exactly. Who? Do they not have a set of scales? So yeah, that is it with Williams. Williams are in trouble. I mean, they very well could be. I mean, I wouldn't be too confident about that. I wouldn't be too confident about that. So Adam Cooper here also adds from a comment from James Vowles. He says, I'm confident. I'm pleased to say we've passed all the necessary tests and we're ready to run in Bahrain, and we'll carry out a promotional filming day ahead of it. So we are going to get a filming day. Of course, the news yesterday is that they have cancelled, well, not officially, but through reputable sources, they have reported that Williams have cancelled their car reveal, their live launch, which was supposed to be happening next week. They was always supposed to be running a testing livery here this week at Barcelona, and then the official livery reveal, like some teams are going to be doing, i.e. Aston Martin, Cadillac via their Super Bowl ad, McLaren, was going to be happening the following week. But that's now moved to an online-only event. But we don't know if that event is an actual live event or if it's just an event of posting social media content. So, yeah. The rumour was that they failed multiple crash tests. James Vowles says they've failed one crash test. So, but we don't know how impactful that is, but sounds like it was impactful. So, I'm sure it will come out. But let's head on to what some comments have been made today, i.e. from the drivers who did get out there and participate in the testing. When he says one, he means a bunch. Exactly. And when he says a little bit, he means he's been delayed a lot. So, yeah, a lot of... I mean, I'm sure it will probably come out. I mean, put it this way. If Williams start off well, this is the only way we're probably going to find out the truth. If Williams start off well in Melbourne and they have a good first result and the car is all good, this will all be quickly forgotten about. And they'll come out and say, oh, yeah, like, you can see the narrative now. Oh, well, it was all looking, considering you missed Barcelona and the shakedown, oh, how good of a start to this season has this been for you? Oh, yeah, it's been great. I mean, look, it wasn't a great start. We didn't want to miss Barcelona, but we missed it for X, Y, and Z. That's the reason, because X, Y, and Z happened. That is where we'll only get the truth. If they start off very poorly, then that will stay hush-hush probably till very later on in the season, so... So Ollie Behrman today, he got some decent running. Of course, Esteban Ocon set 150-odd laps, I think it was, on his own on Monday. So Ollie Behrman back in the car. The first time he's been in the car since Fiorano, where he had a little spin, didn't he, in the wet conditions. And he says today, unfortunately, they had a small issue, but this was all about really we expect to have these issues. So yes, he did have a stoppage out on track. It wasn't due to the Ferrari power unit, though. Apparently, it was a sensor issue that caused the engine to cut out. So sensor issues, electrical issue via Haas and Toyota, not the Ferrari engine. So the Ferrari engine is still going very well and very reliable. So the problem we have that would have taken maybe 30 minutes with last year's car, since everybody knew it so well, took a lot longer, just because there's a few more intricate details and there's just so much more to the power unit compared to what we've been used to. Of course, we're setting our targets higher. We want to continue to learn about this car. I think every lap is a learning experience for us at this stage. So yeah, that's Ollie Behrman. Of course, highly rated rookie. He did end the season very well last year. And I think he has the opportunity to really kick on this year. I think he's a driver that people should definitely be keeping an eye out on. Maybe, potentially, a Ferrari driver, Lewis Hamilton, or Charles Leclerc's eventual replacement, who depending on who decides to leave Ferrari first. Yes, Ferrari equals reliable. Finally, Georgina. I know, right? I know. Apparently, I mean, I don't know how true it is. I've seen some tweets from some accounts who've said, oh, supposedly the reliability and the performance of the Ferrari engine has called people out because people had very low expectations of Ferrari. So I imagine there are probably some of those sentiments up and down the paddock. But how true they are, I don't know because, yeah, they haven't come from the guys that I usually take my information from. Ferrari builds engines for endurance racing. I didn't think their engine would be bad at all. That's true. Yeah, but it's not always the same departments, though, is it? But, yeah. So, Arvid Lindblad was in the car today. Liam Lawson has done the majority of the running this week. I think Arvid did get out there Monday for a few laps, but they didn't do too much running in the wet because it rained Monday afternoon. Yeah, Arvid Lindblad, he has praise. He has very high praise from the chief technical officer, Tim Goss at Visa Cash App. Unsurprisingly, he's praising his driver. Oh, of course, shock horror. He says he's really calm, really professional. Feedback is really straightforward for someone so young. It's really impressive. His session in the car has really just been about getting to grips with this breed of car. They're very, very different, not just the general handling of them, but the way you've just got to manage the energy, and he's just been really cool, calm, professional. As we're getting to the grips with the balance of the car, his feedback has just been really simple, really clear, so really impressed with him. And he does kind of come across that way, I feel like, Arvid. Like he's someone who's been very well prepared for F1, similar to Ollie Behrman, similar to Isaac Hadjar and stuff, like all these drivers now, the ones who make their way through the ranks and through the systems, the junior systems. Part of that comes with it, but yeah, he does come across very level-headed and a good head on his shoulders when you listen to his interviews. Will Lewis struggle to warm up his tyres with the new cars? Oh, who knows? Who knows? That's down to Pirelli. I mean, these tyres should be different this year. They're smaller, of course. They're the power units, and so I mean, his whole cars with the aero as well. That's going to play a massive factor with how these tyres could be managed. So hopefully, yeah, these tyres aren't as temperamental as what they were, and they don't have such a small window of operation. Definitely something that Lewis struggled with in the last 4 years of the ground effect era. Really struggled to get those tyres in the right window when it came to the qualifying in particular, and that's why his qualifying was always so poor. But when it came to the race, he would fare much better. Do I think Max will get a better car than Hadjar with rare materials, etc.? Eventually he will, yeah, Dusko. But I don't think... Max is still the number one driver, of course he is, and that priority is still going to be headed in his direction and led in his direction. However, I don't think it's going to be to the extremes as what we've seen in the past. You listen to Perez's interviews. Even Mekis came out last year and he said something about Tsunoda and when he took over and he discovered that the second car was 2 revisions behind the first car in parts. Something along the lines, he said they discovered that they were holding on to spare... They were holding on to like 2 sets of spare parts for Max Verstappen's car, rather than putting them on to Yuki's car. Like they were just holding parts for Max and sacrificing the second car. And yeah, that's why the second car was always very difficult to drive. And look, I said it before as well. I think what people forget is that the development curve in the ground effect era was very severe. It always is in F1. But the slowest car, so 2022 is an example, the slowest car in 2023 was a full second quicker than the Red Bull of the previous year that dominated the season. And then it was the same again in 2024, and it was the same again in 2025. Like, the cars developed at such a rate and improved at such a rate that, yes, even if you was in a top team, if you wasn't developing that car, then it would very quickly fall down the field. And that's why I do take back some of my criticism of Sergio Perez, because it's quite evident that even if you're a very good driver, if these cars are improving up and down the field and only one side of the garage is maintaining that advantage, of course, still a very difficult car to drive. And I'm not saying Perez would have ever got extracted the same amount of pace out of those cars as what Max did, but he should have comfortably been able to have put it on the podium more often, finish in the top 5 more often, qualify at the bare minimum in the top 10 more often. But he didn't have the car underneath him to do so. And then also what also happens there is that if what Perez is saying is true, is that there was no belief there for anyone and no support for him there. It was, you're not doing good enough. But then he didn't have the car underneath him to do so. So you then start second guessing yourself. And look, these guys are still only human, and they need confidence to drive, and they need some support as well from the team behind them. And if you're in an environment where you're not getting that support and you feel like it's a lost cause, then that's going to massively affect your performances. So. Well, they already took Isaac's chief mechanic back. The one on Max's side left had to hire it in for Isaac's garage. So doubt that things will change. No, look, Max is always going to be your number 1 driver. Of course he is. It would be silly not to. He's earned that right. He's arguably the quickest driver on the grid, the best driver on the grid. So why would you not prioritise him? However, I don't think that second car is going to be a throwaway car anymore. It is going to be a car that they want to get on the podium alongside Max. So... any new video footage of the new cars? Well, there's a little bit of footage. Of course, there's only so much. There's only so much that I can play from like trackside footage. Most of it is from spy shots from an absolute mile away, because this is a very public test, private test. F1 does have videos as well that they've posted on their YouTube page that you can go check out. So that's Arvid Lindblad. George Russell, we've already kind of spoken on George Russell, but this is a bit more of what he said here on the power unit by the looks of it. We focus on long runs, just proving out the power. We'll probably look at more qualifying style runs tomorrow. Okay, George. Letting that one slip. Focusing on qualifying style runs tomorrow. Doesn't mean they're going to be push, but it means that we're going to see... well, the lap times should probably decrease somewhat if he's going to be pushing, or they're going to be pushing that already. Of course, it's their last day, so no doubt probably something that a lot of the teams have in their run plans for this week. But Mercedes feeling very confident, of course. Because that's very different, he adds on the qualifying style runs, getting used to the 350 kilowatts over the full course, the course of a full lap. Full beans. Okay, sorry. So that's why they're doing the full quali style runs, is because they need to get used to the additional extra power that these battery units are going to provide them. So that's interesting. Fair enough. That's going to have a different reaction on the car compared to the long run, so we'll probably have a first look at that tomorrow. Not 100% sure if we'll drive tomorrow or not, i.e. Thursday. It all depends on the weather, but we're in a good place. We can run tomorrow if we want to, but we'll only do it if we're confident it'll be dry all day. So they have one more day to use out of the 3 allotted to them. So it could be Thursday or it could be Friday. Maybe just the Duracells, yeah. Probably 90%, not wanting to give it all away. Exactly. So... how much the drivers paid this year? Too much. They're very well paid. You don't have to worry about them. That's for sure. You need sleep. It's 3 AM. Yeah, good to see you, Georgian. All the best, buddy. I'm excited for the older drivers like Lewis and Alonso. These cars will suit them a lot more. I think so. I think so. But yeah, interesting comments. And that's a fair point, actually. So we will see. And I think that's what we'll get in Bahrain as well. But we will get some push laps. Because these drivers need to get used to that additional... energy usage that is going to be provided to them. So today was the first time that we saw the McLaren. What a beauty. Not gonna lie, in that livery, that does look very good. I do like it. Looks very stealthy, doesn't it? Very nice. So beautiful car. Beautiful cars in general, these 2026 cars. So me likey a lot. So Lando Norris with the number 1 on his car for the first time. Rob Marshall, McLaren's Rob Marshall. Lando Norris did 77 laps today, and he was 9.5 tenths off of Kimi Antonelli's time of a 1:17.3. So just over a 1:18 for Lando Norris. From a design perspective, Rob Marshall says, the new regulations have been a massive task, so it was a great moment to see it roll out of the garage for the first time. We've been able to get a more holistic understanding of the car systems and see how components interact in a trackside condition, as well as getting more driver feedback. Now that Lando has physically driven the car, this foundational knowledge will help us when we come to Bahrain, where we'll focus more on dialing the car in. Overall, it's been a good day, and we look forward to seeing Oscar in the car tomorrow. So the first of 3 days for the McLaren team. Lando Norris doing 77 laps today. Mercedes engine in the back of that car. And yeah, not enough has been spoken about McLaren and their opportunities of winning the championship again this year. I believe. I feel that everyone's just dismissing them. It's all about Mercedes, all about Red Bull, all about Ferrari, and no one's spoken about McLaren at all. So yeah, do not write them off at all. Very narrow nose on that McLaren. It is. It's quite a long one, though. Any idea on how many sets the tyres have on hand? I do, and yeah, I can show you it. Because they did put out a post, Pirelli, on the tyre allocations for this week. Here we go. Oh, hang on. So, what am I doing there? Hang on. Oh my goodness, there we go. So these are the tyre allocations for this week, and you can see McLaren have got the quite a lot of hards, as do Mercedes. Red Bull didn't even bring any hards; they just wanted to run the softs. Understandable why they don't want to run the hards. It is a very cold track here this week, so as George Russell said, it was around 2 degrees earlier today. So it's a cold Barcelona right now, single digits pretty much. We've had some wet weather as well. So majority are mediums and softs, but Mercedes, no softs for them either. No softs. So how are these tyre allocations determined? It's a decision made by the teams months ahead. So they decide quite a few months ahead in relation to the testing. This is the only time they're able to choose their allocation of tyres. When it comes to races, Pirelli have a predetermined amount of hard, mediums and softs, as well as intermediates and wets available for a race weekend. They used to be that they were able to choose their allocations throughout a race weekend, but now it is a set determined amount. The only thing that, and then Pirelli, of course, choose the amount of choose the level of compounds. But yeah, this is a conscious decision by the teams to do so. It's not really that relevant, of course, when it comes to times. It can be, but yeah, you pretty much know those who do the quickest times are probably going to be on the softs. But Mercedes wanted to do some long runs. I can see why the hard is used, but that's why yesterday, with the track temperatures being very cold, it was wet, no doubt. Isaac Hadjar struggling a bit with rear grip. Saw a lot of twitches with... you'll see a lot of twitches. When you actually pay attention to them, when you watch the F1 footage and you watch them out of the exit of the slower corners, you see a lot of twitches of the rear. That's because it's very cold in Barcelona and difficult to maintain the temperature in the rear tyres. And of course, there's a lot more torque supposedly available to these coming from these engines as well. Why is there only one tyre manufacturer? Because that is a conscious decision decided by F1. So last time we had 2 tyre manufacturers was Bridgestone and Michelin, but then they decided to go to 1 tyre manufacturer, which is Pirelli. There was a recent retendering of the sort of repricing, a rebidding of the tyre contract, tyre supplier contract. Apparently, Bridgestone were in the running to retake the tyre manufacturing contracts, or supplier contracts, but Pirelli came out on top again. So I think Pirelli have the tyre contract until, I think for like the next 3-4 years, I think, maybe till 2029. So it's not like we won't ever see another tyre manufacturer. But I think the days of having 2 different tyre manufacturers have gone. So do Williams get to carry over the allocated tyres to Bahrain? No, because there'll be probably different compounds available for Bahrain. Will there be different compounds? No, probably. It'll probably be C1, C2, C3. Because... Or will it be more? Actually, Bahrain... No, sorry. Bahrain will see all compounds of tyres available to use. So we should see the whole range, apart from the C6. So we'll see C1, C2, C3, C4, C5. We saw that last year, but they'll announce it probably a couple of days before or the day before the testing starts of what tyres have been chosen. So. And they can't physically take them there. Pirelli must have already sent tyres to Bahrain. Yes, exactly, and they already have to pre-make them. So that's why when Pirelli announced the tyre compounds in advance, so they'll announce like 6 races in a row with a graphic of like the tyre compound selections that they've chosen. That's because they need to make them in advance, of course, and ship them out to wherever the track is, or wherever the tracks are. So yeah, that was the tyre allocations there for this week. Is there anything else to really add here? I think, unless there's maybe something else that's been reported here, I think that is it for today. Of course, Aston Martin is going to be arriving tomorrow. We've spoken about George Russell. I guess really there hasn't been enough talk about Audi. In general, another poor day at the office for them. Only 68 laps conducted. You can see here 68 laps, 3.6 seconds off of the pace as well. 68 laps is better than what Nico Hulkenberg was able to do on Monday, but 2 breakdowns this morning. Hydraulic issue in the morning and an issue in the afternoon that we don't know what the cause of it was. So yeah, struggling Audi at the moment. But then again, it's all about ironing out the kinks, seeing what those gremlins are. And yeah, that's clearly what they've been doing. So the Audi sounds so much different than other PUs. It does seem like that, doesn't it? So this is the Audi PU here. Let's pause it, see if we can hear it. Yeah, I mean, this sounds like more so the microphone that this is recording on, and maybe because they're in the grandstand as well. But I don't know. Yeah, it definitely does sound different. I'm not sure I like it. It sounds like it's more hybridy. Great terminology there. It sounds like there's definitely more. You can hear almost like the wheeziness of the electrical components. That's what it sounds like to me. It doesn't feel like it's got that grunt behind it. And yeah, exactly, Carl. Look, if there's, I'm not going to judge teams. I'm not going to judge teams for having breakdowns on track, because it is all about running these cars to the limit, knowing kind of what the engines are able to achieve, and it is all about system checks, troubleshooting at the end of the day. Do we know who will be Lewis's engineer? No, not yet. So the rumours are that there will be someone. The rumours are, or what I've seen varying reports, but apparently Grosjean, I can't remember his first name. Grosjean is his last name. He's a McLaren engineer who has left. He's left McLaren now, and he's currently on gardening leave, and he won't be joining Ferrari until the summer. But I've heard rumours that he is going to be Lewis's engineer, but not until the summer, which would be a very Ferrari thing to do, and that he's going to have someone like a substitute engineer until he joins, which would be a very, very, very Ferrari-esque thing to do. However, I've also seen rumours that they've got Luca Diallo. Apologies, I butchered your last name there, or his last name. He has experience of working with Lewis Hamilton. He was a performance engineer in Mercedes for a few years, about 3-4 years, I think it was. And he was also Lewis's performance engineer whilst joining Ferrari in the middle of last year as well. So he already has a pre-existing relationship with Lewis Hamilton. And it's kind of a natural step up to go from a performance engineer to like driver's race engineer on the pit wall. So, yeah, I don't know what is happening at the moment. He's not got his own one here this weekend. It is Brian. He's sharing Charles Leclerc's engineer, because they are just using the single car here this weekend. But I imagine I'd be very surprised if there wasn't I wouldn't be surprised if there was an engineer appointed by Bahrain. I mean, there has to be, because that's 6 days of testing, 2 weeks in a row, that will enable him to build up a relationship and a communication with his race engineer. So if they don't, it's a big missed opportunity. We'll see the teams together before the season, testing against each other. We'll see them, in Bahrain in the 11th to 13th of February, and then the 18th to 20th of February next month. Why is sound of Audi where the Red Bull, Ferrari, and Merc sound raspy and more raw? Agreed, Steve-O. Cedric Michael Grosjean is the McLaren engineer who has just left, and he's joining Ferrari in the summer. Well done. Yeah, I didn't want to guess on his first name. I knew it's like French sounding, and Cedric Michael Grosjean is very French, isn't it? So, isn't F1 moving more towards Formula E, like with all the increase in hybrid and stuff? They are moving more towards, of course, the utilisation of the battery and so forth and electrical energy, because they always kind of want to stay road relevant. But yeah, there will always be a combustion element to it. F1 fans wouldn't allow a non-combustion element to be added to to be removed from F1 or not be involved in F1. So we need it. The Audi sounds a bit like a TIE fighter. Let's listen to it again. You know, I don't know. It sounds more like the microphone on this phone from where they are in a grandstand. It's maybe distorting the audio a bit, but I'm sure we'll get some more. We definitely will get more footage when it comes to testing and trackside footage, because people are actually allowed inside the track, so it won't be all closed. That is pod racing. On all footage, it does that. Does it really? Okay, I'll have to see if I can find some more. Maybe there is some more footage. I don't want to get done for copyright. You can get done for copyright even when you're scrolling through Twitter. Oh, look, some images here. I mean, that McLaren does look very good. The Audi, I mean, it looks good with the soft. I mean, oh, look, it looks good there, doesn't it? But that's primarily because I can't see a lot of the red block on the back of the Audi. And then Alpine. Going under the radar, Alpine, by the way. No one's talking about Alpine. They have had a couple of stoppages, actually. It'd be interesting to see. Anything else? Oh, rake it up. Rake it up. Yeah, I'm liking this. Of course, the car's being more raised off of the floor. I like it. It looks more racy. Do you not think? Charles should be Ferrari's top driver, in your opinion, this year, at least on equal footing with Lewis after last season. Yeah, I mean, look, Charles should always still be, the guy who's slightly ahead, because he's been at Ferrari for so much longer. But this is a big reset. This is a big reset for a lot of drivers. So even if you've been there at a team for so long, these cars are going to be very different to what has come before. So that might not be as relevant anymore, or for this season. As the customer engine, they might have been instructed to turn down the PU. Yeah, I think turn down the PU. I don't know. I think once they've got the engines, they could do what they want with them. But yeah, everyone will be running them. Everyone will be running their engines turned down, because they don't want to completely ruin them. They're stress testing parts and seeing how things were working together. So. Yeah, it does look good car, doesn't it? Looks very nice. Very nice. Is it you, Song Notes? Or do the tyres look bigger in these new cars relative to the car body? You dig it? I disagree, actually. I disagree. I think they look smaller. I think they look just the right amount. Maybe I could see from certain angles, but I don't know. They don't. They're definitely smaller. I think they've gone from 16 to 13 inch, I think. But they're definitely reduced in size. And I think that, yeah, look at it from that angle, they do look a lot smaller. And the drivers have said that the cars feel noticeably smaller. Only 20 centimeters shorter in length, 10 centimeters narrower, and then the tires are slightly smaller as well. The cars are not as planted, like sucked into the ground anymore, trying to run the ride height as low as possible. Yeah, they just look very, very nice, don't they? I mean, they look longer. They still look long from this angle, but I think the rear, like the rear, where the car used to sit so low to the ground before, and you look at the last year's cars, they just look like they were, yeah, they really do just look like they were being sucked into the tarmac. Whereas I really like that the rear wing, the rear of the car seems to almost like sit more straight and upright. I really do like that, and that helps obviously make the cars look shorter as well. Are the front and back tyres in size and different in size and width? Yes, they always have been. Yeah, they've always been slightly smaller on the front than they have been at the rear. Yeah. Last year, the tyres looked so massive. I like this year much better. Should give them better visibility too. Yes, that's also true. Yeah, it was 2020... Was it 2022 where they increased the size of them? It was, wasn't it? Yeah. It was when we went to the ground effect era. The tyres increased in size, and the drivers said that they just couldn't see into the apexes anymore. The lack of visibility in those cars was just, it was ridiculous. We just ended up going to the heaviest, largest F1 cars in history with the largest tyres. I'm not sure if they were the largest tyres in F1 history, but definitely like the large, unbelievably large. And they couldn't see any apexes, and yeah, no wonder drivers turned into each other so often, because they couldn't see. You're putting these little guys, because a lot of the F1 drivers are under 6 foot, into these cars and wondering why they can't see. Have I got a side-by-side comparison of this year's and last year's? I haven't, but I'm sure I can find it for you. Will tyre warmers ever be banned? No. No, I think they definitely looked at it, of course, but no, you need that in F1. You can't not have tyre warmers. It's just, I think that's too arbitrary. That's too playing around with the rules too much. Like, I don't want to see drivers skating around and losing grip and struggling to get their tyres up to temperature. Like, I want to see someone enter I want to see someone exit the pit lane and instantly race with someone, you know? Like, we've had moments like that before where there's certain pit lanes where we have them racing. It's really tight and they race down into the first corner. Like, I want that. I don't want a driver who's going to... Yes, they still need to get their tyres up temperature, but if they don't have tyre blankets at all, they're going to be bone cold and they're just not going to be able to... Put it this way, if they're bone cold, you're just going to see the undercut become super powerful. Everyone would just do an undercut all the time because you want to get those tyres up to temperature as quick as possible, rather than wait out there as long as you can. So they loaded temps of the warmers, didn't they? And they can use them less. Can't remember the exact detail. I think they reduced. Yeah, they did reduce the temperatures. But they were talking about removing tyre blankets altogether. But yeah, I don't think it... I think, didn't they do that in the World Endurance Championship? And it didn't go down well. I think. There was definitely a motorsport series they did it and it didn't go down well. And I think that made F1 change their mind. 2022 or 2025 versus 2026 F1 comparison. So look, it's got to be a side by side. Trying to find it on Google. That isn't how they look on... Surely that's not how they look. It's definitely smaller, isn't it? I'm basically trying to find an image, guys, of of something that isn't just the image from Formula One. I can't quite find something yet. I think the illusion of how the cars looks is they look stockier, a bit like they're bulked up in the gym. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an illusion to some extent. I mean, they're definitely not as small as what they... Like, the dimensions, they're definitely not as small as we think they are. But they could be smaller. I'm really trying to find a comparison here, and no one really seems to have... Oh, maybe it's because I've got that in there. But we really kind of need someone to do it out on track for us. That'd be amazing, like an exhibition or something. Mocha, what do I think about the concerns of electric power output being mapped as traction control in a way? Sorry for lack of better English. That's okay. I don't have concerns about it. I guess it'd be a smart way to utilize it. And this is the thing, is that the utilization of the battery power is going to be very key to how we go racing this year. My concern is not so much how the power is utilized. My concern is how we follow that as race fans. Especially when it comes to the boost and things like this. Like, I'm interested to see what information we as fans are going to be able to have access to when it comes to following the sport. I don't need to know if someone's in straight line mode, cornering mode, or whatever. I want to know what mode are they in when it comes to their battery. What mode are they in when it comes... Obviously, the boost mode we will probably get access to. That'll be the same as knowing whether they were in DRS or not. But, like, how much battery do they have? Are we going to get a percentage informed to us of how much battery they have stored up and things like this? I'm quite pessimistic in that regard. I'm not sure if we'll get that information. I don't think the teams will want that to be displayed. But we will get displayed the boost mode, no doubt. But how are we going to get... Are we going to get the information of how much boost they've got available? And is it going to be like how it ticks down or whatever? That's the sort of stuff I'm intrigued about. And no doubts they've had discussions on in F1, so we'll see. We would all love full technical telemetry, but it ain't going to happen. Exactly. You'd love an equivalent to the LMU VE reading. What is the LMU VE reading? I am sorry, but I can't really find a decent comparison. Other than the F1 imagery, I can't find a decent comparison. No one's really seemed to, at least on Google, lined up a direct comparison of the 2026 cars to 2025 cars. I'm sure someone will do it eventually when we get clearer images of cars out on track and stuff. LMU, what is it? LMU VE reading. That's definitely not brought up the right things. Oh, that's not coming up either, but... Oh, is it kind of something like this? Kind of something like that. Like this sort of stuff. Yeah, that's kind of like what I want. I want to know how much battery they got available. Like, do they have the full wattage available to use in their boost mode? Have they only got part of it to use? Yeah. That's what will be interesting to know. But there we go. Well, that's it for me, guys. That is it for the end of this review of day 3. Not really too much to write home about, of course, but yeah, some information to take stock of. We'll see if Adam hasn't reported something else while we've just been chatting there. No, nothing else to add. So yeah, McLaren out on track finally. Looks lovely. It will be out on track the next 2 days, no doubt. Ferrari probably out tomorrow for the next 2 days because they've only done 1 day, which was yesterday. Red Bull, we don't know if they're going to be there Aston Martin will be there, as they have reported, but they're all set for the shakedown now. So yeah, in F1 is in full swing, and remember, these cars will probably look quite different when we head to Bahrain in a few weeks' time as well, because they will have brand new parts. They will analyze data on these cars. They'll probably have already got parts in being created right now, which will alter the look of these cars. Apparently, these are a lot of Spec A cars, and they have a Spec B cars as well. So they're definitely going to be getting the most out of these testing sessions to see what is the best configuration when they head to Melbourne in Australia. You'd love to see a charge state read out for a whole race. That's what I'd like to see as well, Mike. Fingers crossed, but I don't know what we're going to get. And that's what I'm intrigued when it comes to testing, i.e. obviously what we use to look at, obviously, the live data and so forth. What information is going to be available to us. So, yeah, maybe they will announce that ahead of Bahrain, because that is when, like, F1 TV is going to be broadcasted. I know it's only an hour per day the first week, but the second week it's every hour, the full shebang. That means the full live data, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see as well from a commentator's perspective, like what information we're going to be able to have to hand to be able to follow the sport, because it has changed, and yeah, we'll see. Is Stuffeyy getting a new merch shirt for 2026? Well, me actually merch, or am I getting a team shirt? I don't know yet. I don't know. We'll see. Can't wait for the proper broadcast to hear them better and see them better. Yeah, same. No Aston livery yet. No, there'll be a testing livery revealed tomorrow, no doubt, but nothing official revealed yet for Aston Martin, because they're going to do their official car reveal next week. But yeah, can't wait, guys. Thank you for tuning in, as always, and for those who are listening back, we'll be back tomorrow for day 4. And yeah, it's going to be very busy in the next couple of days as teams wrap up this first week of testing. Not allowed to call it a test because Bahrain have paid a lot of money for it, but they haven't paid me a lot of money for it. So if they want me to call it a shakedown and not a test, then yeah, get in touch. I'll give you my bank account details. Have a good night, guys. Bye.